Great British summertime. Still, I'd rather that than baking sun.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're continuing with our little series of making presents for my teachers. Today we're working on the present for my music teacher. I'm going to be making them a conductor's baton. I don't think they have one in all the years I've seen them conducting, and they've conducted me. They've never used a baton, so I don't know if it's something that they really prefer to do or whether it's something that they want and have never had. But either way, I'm going to make it, and even if they don't use it, hopefully it'll just be a nice little memento for them. If you're unaware of what a baton looks like this, there's obviously a long thin shaft with a little bulb at the end that you hold on to. So the bulb I'll be making out of oak, a funny old thing, and the shaft, the rod, I'm going to be using a knitting needle. So thank you for joining me. I'll invite you to like and subscribe. Let's get started. Been looking at the some dimensions for conductor's batons on Google. Seems to be a lot of variation actually. I suppose it's probably quite custom to the conductor as to how long the whole thing is overall, how long the bulb is, how long the main shaft is. Teacher's not a very tall person, so I don't suppose they want it to be massive, but I think I'm just going to eyeball it, to be honest. It wants to be about 50 millimeters long, I think, the bulb. Crikey, we have got a leak. And I'm just going to use the axe to take off the majority of the material from this big cube that I took off. I took more so that I've got some wiggle room. So yeah, just beginning to rough out that shape. Now I think I'm gonna maybe put a time lapse on, because I know I need to slim down the knitting needle to make that more suitably sized, and this obviously needs to be shaped a lot more. And I think that's gonna be easiest with the Dremel, but I wanna go slow and not have to restart again. So I think we'll try that. Okay, this is where I'm up to so far. Beginning to get a rough shape, but I think overall it just needs to get narrower. And I'm not feeling that confident doing that with chisels or even the rasp really, and it's also going to take quite a lot of time. What I think I really need is a belt sander, but obviously I haven't got one of them. Well, I might be able to make those a disc sander. I might have a go at that. Maybe I could make something to put in the drill. Let me get back to you on that. Ruined my jumper, getting a hole in it. Well, here goes nothing. I didn't weld it on straight. I don't think it's a total failure. Glue gun glue holds it on better, and it does sand fairly well. I mean, obviously a proper belt sander would be better, or even a proper disc sander, but it's maybe an option, and I think I'll keep persevering, maybe with this and the angle grinder, just to carry on narrowing this down like as was the original intention. Well, apologies, all the time lapse probably wasn't that interesting to watch, but to be honest, it's still raining. I've just been sat here using the disc sander, which actually hasn't been that bad. Clamping it down like this and using just my thumb means I can hold it quite still, and I've got that now down to the size that I pretty much want it, using this. Like that, and I was also using the rasp on it as well. Good old fashioned rasp, works a treat actually. I just had to be a bit, persevere a bit with putting it in the vise, otherwise it will move around. Anyway, like I say, this is pretty much where I want it now. Hopefully you can hear me over the rain. And I've just been using the axe blade here to gradually, carefully scrape off material from the knitting needle to get that down to the thickness that I want it. It needs to be really quite thin at the tip. Obviously I don't want it to snap, but yeah, not nice and thin up here, a little bit thicker down here, and I have just thinned down the bottom end. So I think what I'm going to do now is try and put the two together, drill a hole in this very carefully, glue it in about that much in the bulb there, and then I can continue putting it to final dimensions before it's pretty much finished. All we've got to do then is varnish the bulb, and I need to paint the shaft white. That's done traditionally so that when you're in the concert hall and everything's really dark, the orchestra or whoever you're conducting can still see the baton because it's white, standing out vibrant against the black surroundings. So I'll probably just use some white emulsion for that, I think. Okay, it's in, and that's an 8mm hole, and that's probably going to be just about right actually, because there's just a little teeny gap around the edge which I can fill with glue, and I'll also probably put some fine wood dust in there to act as some filler and make sure that it's a nice seamless join. However, it has highlighted that it's not sitting very straight, or rather I've not drilled the hole very straight, but that's fine, because now I know this, I can just take some more material off of here and bring it back hopefully a bit more central. So yeah, I'll get on with that, I think. Okay, that's probably another hour and a half I think on that, but I think I am now happy feeling this now. It's lovely and smooth. And I think it's as thin as I want it, as is this bulb. So what I'm going to do now is have another little tidy up, and then we'll glue these together and get final coating. Coating. Putting the varnish and the paint on. Righty-ho, I've just swept all the mess on the floor for the minute because I anticipate making a load more later on the workbench. But I will glue the baton together first and then set it somewhere out, away, safe in the dry, away from all the dust. While it dries, then we can carry on making mess. So I've got a little dish, I've got the glue, and I need this jar of sawdust, which I collected from the table saw the other day, because it'll be useful for doing this. If I mix it with the glue, it'll make me a lovely filler, which I can use just to fill in that gap there. So what I want is mostly glue, but some sawdust in there as well. the plan for the box is to make a simple hollowed out base that's big enough for the baton, going all French, baton. Line it with some kind of felty stuff so it doesn't rattle around, and then have a simple top that just slides over the bottom, kind of like a shoebox. On the bottom bit I'll make a little shoulder with a thinner side, and then the top should then be made slightly bigger on the inside so that it slides down over the top, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. Thinking either this oak 2x3 or maybe the block that I've got here. I think the 2x3 is probably going to be easier because it's already pretty much the right width. Yes, I do know that this is not the correct tool for the job. I should be using the table saw, but I can't because of the weather, so just don't do what I'm doing here. Right, like I say, don't use that method, but anyway, we got away with it. And although it is slightly wonky, the cut, I think I can make it work. So I'm now going to use the router and probably various other methods, quite a lot of trial and error, to try and hollow out the box. So again, I think I'm just going to have to put it on a time lapse because this is going to take a lot of work and we're going to be making a lot of dust. Well, you win some and you lose some. I was in the process of hollowing this out, but I just kept looking at it and thinking about it, and I think I'm going to have to scrap this idea. This thicker piece, because obviously I cut it wonky because I wasn't using the right tool for the job, was going to be the bottom half, but that would have meant I needed to put a shoulder in it, and I've now taken too much out here from the middle. I've left this too thin, so I can't put a shoulder in that now. So I thought, okay, I can make this the top half. That then means I've got to use this thinner bit and put the shoulder on that. I didn't really want to have the thicker piece on top, I wanted it on the bottom. Yeah, I've made this too big, it's also taken a long time. And I think before I go and ruin this piece of wood as well, because this is obviously going to have to go to scrap now, I think I'm going to change tack. I'll probably just use pallet wood and make a thin box out of that. So yeah, it just goes to show not everything goes to plan. But I've made the right call, I think. I won't split this up or anything until I've made the one out of pallet wood, because then at least I can always go back to it, I suppose. Yeah, never mind. It gave me some practice at chiseling. Okay then, take two. Okay, so evidently I should stick to what I'm good at, which apparently is pallet wood, because I now have a box which will work with some nice leather hinges, and it's going to be hopefully just the right size for the baton. So yeah, I'm going to do another tidy up now. Right then folks, I sort of feel like I need to apologise today because I don't think I've put that much effort into the actual filming of the video. I sort of got a bit tunnel visioned and blinded by the project, you know, trying to get it done, and I'm getting a bit frustrated almost. So sorry if the footage is a bit boring and it's not that entertaining of a video for you. We can though, through the relentless rain, say that we have now got the baton done. It's still drying with the glue. I'll come back tomorrow, sand that, and just that little bit around the join, and then we can begin varnishing and painting it. And we've also now got the box done. All we need to do that now with that is give it a bit of a lining so that the baton doesn't rattle inside it. And then that will also be that present done, bringing our little series to a close. Well, hello again everyone. As you can see, as from my clothes, it is a different day now, and I have retrieved the baton and it is now dry. Obviously you can see here the lumps from the glue, where I said with that filler that there would be, so I'm now just going to sand this off and then we'll get on to the painting. The drawn out nature of this project is just part and parcel of making things like this, of course. Each time I apply a new coat of something wet, be that glue, varnish or paint, I obviously have to leave it at least a day really to dry properly. And then at the very end I need to give it a couple of days to fully cure, let everything set in. That's just how it goes. So hence I end up doing lots of quick trips up the road to the shed here, doing a little bit of work for about 15 minutes and then leaving it again. It's just what you have to do. But it makes a good result if you do it properly. It's often useful when I've finished sanding to give the item a little wipe down with a cloth, just to remove as much of that dust as I can, because I don't want it to get in my paint or varnish or whatever. So I'll do that, put it aside. That's why I leave things to dry elsewhere out of the shed, because the shed is so dusty. And then I can brush away the sanding dust here, the sawdust, whatever, to leave us a cleaner surface for when we move on to painting. I don't think it really matters whether I varnish the bulb or paint the shaft first. So I'm going to paint the shaft, and I'm going to therefore put a bit of masking tape over the bulb so that we don't get white paint on it. Okay, with it masked up, you can see the join there between the masking tape and the shaft of the baton. I've also put a bit of wire on so that I can hang it. That means I can paint the whole thing and then hang this with this pointing down so that it will dry properly. And I went hunting in the loft for some white paint. This is actually damp seal paint, but I don't think it'll make that much difference. If anything, it might make it waterproof. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of this on the shaft to make it stand out in those dark concert halls. And depending on how streaky and see-through the first coat is, will depend on how many secondary and thirdly coats I have to put on to make it properly white. Okay, that's the first coat on. I'll see you in a couple of days. Hello once again everybody. As you can probably just tell, I've had to disassemble the second attempt at the box. My mother saw it and said, no, you cannot put that baton in that box. I'll find you something more appropriate. So I've done what I'm told. Apparently I'm not making a box for the baton anymore, but hey ho, never mind. The baton itself is coming out quite well. I put a third and final coat of white paint on the shaft this morning and it's been drying all day. I've got my gloves on because my hands are mucky and I don't want my sweaty fingerprints to mark the white paint, so I'm going to now unmask the bulb and then we'll get to varnishing that hopefully. And yes, if you can't already tell, I have been here all day. You can probably tell from the colour of my skin that I've done quite a lot of work here today. I'm wearing different clothes again. It's been a big day of filming today. Join between the oak and the shaft is not too bad. So without further ado, let's get to varnishing. And there we go, it doesn't take very long at all. It's coming along quite nicely.
might as well call it there really, because I'm only going to put another couple of coats of this on.
We might as well throw up a picture now of the finished baton with whatever storage method my mother comes up with on the screen now, and then jump back to future Chris, or is it past Chris? I don't know, one of the two. I'm getting confused. It's been quite a confusing film, this one. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have, then do please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.